It's time for Third Calling, where we ask the question, what are you doing the rest of your life? Perhaps you've retired, your nest is empty, you're in a transition, or thinking about what to do and be in a new season of life. Richard and Leona Bergstrom are co-directors of Reignite and authors of the book Third Calling. They're here to challenge and encourage each of us to follow God's calling and live with purpose and passion for the rest of our lives.
And we do have the Bergstroms with us once again. Third Calling, a new feature here on KCIS, kind of exploring their book of the same name, Third Calling. What are you doing with the rest of your life? Have Richard and Leona with us once again. Hello, Bergstroms.
Hello, Mark.
Good to be back.
Good to be with you once again. Hey, this week we're going to dive into some of the principles of the book. And principle 1 this week for living out your third calling is, what is it, Richard?
Well, we want you to intentionally explore what it means to live a third calling. There's a great quote from our alma mater, Westmont College, on their website that says, "There's a calling on our lives. God has called us into his kingdom and to be participants in his work in the world." And then this statement, "It's the ongoing task of every Christian to discern the shape of that calling through the various stages of life." So when we talk about a third calling, we're not talking about you being a different person or even necessarily have a different calling per se, but to understand what that looks like in this third stage of life.
Third stage being kind of boomer age. That would be like what age?
Pre and post early retirement,
Okay.
that kind of thing. As some of the structures of our life fall away, we might be empty nesters, we might retire, might have lost a spouse through death or divorce. So it's important for us to pause and what we say intentionally explore this phase.
Yeah, what does that mean, intentionally explore?
Well, the default paradigm is in financial planning, and that's important. Everyone talks about, are you going to outlive your money?
Right.
But fewer people take the time to really develop a life plan, have a strategy going into their next phase, their retirement phase or what have you. And so we really encourage people to explore that and to look for resources that can help them to discern what that might be.
Like your ministry, Reignite, has seminars and things. Leona, why is it necessary to take time to discover a new or renewed calling?
We think it's important because if you don't, it's sort of like being in a river. You just get caught up in what culture says retirement should be. And we really think God's calling us to step back, reflect on who we've been, where we're going, what he's done in our life, how he's designed us. Spend some time reading. I mean, our book would be helpful. It's a lot of stories about people who are going through this period of time. There are a lot of other books coming out, and we've listed a lot of those on our website as well. But taking time to intentionally reflect on what it is God has done in your life and is doing in your life.
Well, okay, tell us one of those stories. What are some ways to do this then, Richard?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we do is a guided retreat, either in a church or another setting where we can take people through a process that's very defined and very intentional about helping them to explore their purpose and their passion, to decide what's important to them, what their priority is going to be in the days ahead. And hopefully during that time, they may discover a new purpose or extended purpose from their life before.
So is this like maybe getting into ministry of some kind or going on a missions trip or seeking some kind of experience or more education? I mean, obviously a seminar might be a touch point for some
It could certainly include any of those, but we like to approach it more holistically without any predetermined end in mind. So wherever that takes them, whether it's renewed commitment to their family, their grandchildren, their church, their community, or the world, it's totally open-ended.
There are so many stories we could tell, and a lot of them are in the book. I think one of my favorite is a friend of ours named Tim, who was an executive and going along in his career, but he had this longing in his heart, this passion in his heart to be more involved in community needs and social injustice. Long story short, he came back after a Reignite retreat and lost his job and was transitioned a little quicker than he meant to. But what happened after that is because he was following his passion, he did find a position as an outreach pastor and went on in his next several years to really meet some of the needs, particularly of the homeless. And it was a fun thing because he had taken time to understand what he cared about and how he was wired and what he really wanted to do the rest of his life.
You don't think so we need people to take the time and intentionally, like you say, intentionally explore what this third calling looks like for them. You have a great website, re-ignite.net. That's actually your overall ministry. And then what this series is based on, the book, Third Calling, and that's also thirdcalling.com. Lots of ideas there to explore what you're doing with the rest of your life. Again, we have Richard and Leona Bergstrom with us once again today. Thanks, Bergstroms.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Richard and Leona Bergstrom, directors of Reignite and authors of Third Calling. What are you doing the rest of your life? To learn more about discovering your purpose and following your calling, visit thirdcalling.com. You can order their book, as well as an accompanying study guide on Amazon or on the Third Calling website. You can also listen to this feature again at kcisradio.com.